So the Sony FX30 gets a lot of titles like entry level, great beginner cinema camera, perfect beginner filmmaker camera. But is it good enough to film professional real estate videos? The short answer is yes, it is. Of course it is. So if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, I own a video production company here in Baltimore, Maryland, and real estate is a large chunk of the business that I do. I primarily shoot with the Sony A7IV, and while I was looking for a backup camera / B camera, the Sony FX30 was announced. And as soon as I saw the specs and the price tag of only $1799 US dollars, $1,799 US, I was sold. So starting with some specs that are especially important to me for real estate videography, this camera offers 4K 60, up to 4K 120 with a 1.6 times crop. I usually don't use 4K 120 for real estate videos, although it is nice to have it in case you do want to do something with it. However, I do use 4K 60 as my primary setting for all of my real estate videos. It also offers amazingly reliable autofocus, 14 plus stops of dynamic range, and the ability to use Cine EI or log shooting with 10-bit 422 color. So why is that important for real estate videography? Having a good dynamic range will ensure that you can capture a lot of details in the highlights as well as the shadows, and having a good log profile will ensure that the highlight roll-off is a little bit nicer and that you don't blow out the highlights as much as like a standard profile would. Also, having 422 color, you're now not going to get the banding, you're not going to get as much color noise, and you're able to push and pull the colors a little bit in post-production. For instance, if there's a really ugly yellow color from one of the lamps or overhead lights that you kind of want to pull out, you can do so no problem with 10-bit. Now, I will typically shoot in the Cine EI setting just to ensure that I'm getting the most out of the camera that I possibly can. And what Cine EI does is it ensures that you're shooting at one of the two dual base ISOs of 800 or 2500. So these dual base ISOs are actually going to be where the sensor performs its best as far as dynamic range and noise and stuff like that goes. Now I have it set up on a custom function button to swap between the dual base ISOs of 800 and 2500, and that really helps me streamline my process while I'm filming on site. Obviously, if I'm in a bright room, I'll use the 800 base ISO, and if I'm in a really dark room where I need to really punch it up, I'll shoot it up to the 2500. So speaking of custom function buttons, the user experience for this camera is absolutely incredible. The main menu 1 and 2 basically have every setting that you could ever want for video, and that helps you ensure that you're not going through all of the menus while you're trying to film on site and trying to figure out where that one thing was that you forgot, or if you need to change your frames per second, or you want to change something to auto for some reason all of a sudden, it's right there. Everything is right there for you, and it's really easy to access. So it also has amazing features like these tally lights, which ensures that you always know when you're filming. There's no accidental filming. There's no accidentally forgot to push record. It's just really nice to have these. Also, the ability to upload your own custom LUTs straight into the camera so that you can actually see a little bit closer to what your final image is going to look like right in camera. Now, while this is an APS-C camera, the resolution of this sensor is 6K, and it's downsampling that nice 6K image down to a 4K image. It's very sharp, it's very rich, and it has amazing colors. Now, I'd be remiss not to talk about some negatives about this camera. There aren't many things I don't like about this camera, just because I do know its capabilities, I know its strengths, I know its weaknesses, so I work with what I have. Now, having said that, the low light is not as good as it is on the full frame counterparts, such as the A7IV. Now, that's to be expected. It is a smaller sensor size, and while technology has come a long way, you just can't replace a physical bigger sensor. But the biggest issue is that some people do mistake not as good for not good, and that's just not the case. It is actually a very well-performing camera in low light. At 2500, you're still getting a very usable, clean image. I remember shooting on the GH5 a few years ago, and if you told me that I could shoot on 2500 like easily and clean, I would be happy. As long as you are being thoughtful about your images, as long as you're being thoughtful about your lighting and all that type of stuff, you will not have any issues with the low light. But I would be crazy to say that it is as good as the full frame counterparts. Now, just to wrap things up, my experience shooting with this camera over the last month has been very good. I've shot multiple listings with this camera, and I really think it is capable of being a video workhorse for a lot of people. It's a great price point. The lens choices that you can get with this, especially the Sony 11mm 1.8, is a perfect combo for real estate. I just think that you're getting a lot of camera for the money. You're getting a lot of camera in general. I know everybody keeps saying for the money, but it's just a good camera. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any specific questions about the FX30, please leave a comment down below. If you have any questions about shooting real estate in general, please feel free to reach out and comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button. Please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. I feel like I'm starting to build a nice little community here, and I really love hearing from you guys, and I enjoy helping you guys out in any way possible, and I'm hoping to learn some stuff from you. But until next time, keep on creating.